Hey y'all, Flipper Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me again. Today we're going to take a look at this 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥 Shark Cub. This is a clone. I got it from OK Knives for $34. It is in full titanium, nice smooth titanium, and really is quite true to the original. We're going to take a look at the good, the bad, the ugly. But before we get started, as always, if you would please take a second just to go down below here, hit that subscribe bell notification. You're probably not going to get a whole lot of notifications, but it really helps guys like me out on the YouTubes. If you need to leave early, throw your boy Fred a thumbs up on the way out, please. I sure do appreciate it. That is very helpful to me. So, as I mentioned, this is the 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥 Shark Cub in all titanium scales. Got it on OK Knives for $34. I believe the real one was a DLT exclusive. I couldn't find the smooth titanium scales on any other website as far as the real one goes. The real one is $250. At least that's what I saw it listed for at DLT Trading. Always like to take a look at the box that it came in. It came in a nice 𝗗𝗑𝗦 branded Shark Cub box. So I thought that was pretty cool with the shark lock and, fully branded, I guess, and designed all the way around. I'm not too sure how true to the original it is. All I got in the package, however, was some bubble wrap, which is nice. At least it helped from keeping the knife banging around in this big box by itself, and of course the plastic that it came in. So nothing particularly fancy. However, I do love that it really is a 𝗗𝗑𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥 Shark Cub branded box. That's kind of cool for the old knife collection. We'll hold on to that thing. All right, so let's take a look at some size comps. It's always hard to see. This is actually a great EDC size carry knife. I know it's sometimes hard to get your sizes and your figured out when you're on these videos. So there's obviously the full-size Benchmade Crooked River, considerably bigger, and this sucker is even a good bit shorter than the regular Benchmade Bug Out. So again, very small, pocketable size. If you're a Spyderco fan, there's the PM2 and the Para 3. We'll compare them to. Obviously much smaller than the PM2, but even a good bit smaller. Man, I'm going to call that close to perhaps an inch, at least 3/4 of an inch to an inch smaller than the Para 3. So definitely a small pocketable size knife, perfect for EDC. All right, let's take a look at the specs real quick. Let's see how closely this thing matches the original. I'll bring those up on the screen here. As you can see down the right column here, all those green check marks mean this thing basically ticks all the same boxes as the specs on the original titanium version, that being the real one. One difference I got, which is a little odd, is my blade length came in, and so this is just an issue with depending on how people measure. So the way I understood it was you should measure from the tip of the blade to the closest point on the scales. So depending on how you measure that, almost cut myself there on that sharp blade, how you measure that to down here versus up here, are you just measuring the cutting edge, all those things? I'm going to say this is probably still a wash because all the other dimensions are right. The listing online lists this as a satin on DLT. However, if you look at the pictures on the DLT knife, they look pretty stonewashed to me. So I think that might actually just be a typo. On the other versions, like the G10 versions of this blade, they are stonewashed. So this is true to the original in that regard. It is a flat grind. It is a nice slicey blade. I call this kind of probably a saber grind because it's only flat on half. It's a fairly thin blade. I mean, it measures up at less than 1/10, 0.096. And so nice thin slicey blade. That is the point of this knife, one of the major benefits. The blade steel comes in 20 CV for the original. This is clearly not 20 CV. I did put it on my little work sharpener, a little handheld one, and feel that this is a fairly soft steel. So I'm going to guess this was probably an 8CR13. That tends to be what they put on their knives in the $30 to $40 range when you're not kind of getting the fancier carbon fiber, really more expensive versions. Fairly soft, but still, it took an edge nice. We're going to check the sliciness in just a minute. The Shark Lock is the unique feature that they have on all these knives, similar to the 20.5 and other similar models. This is really kind of a sized down version of the 80 20.5. Shark Lock on this works good, although I did have to modify it a little bit. We'll talk about those modifications in just a second. It does take a little getting used to, though. Otherwise, the weight's the same lock. Again, the original's $250, whereas mine came in at $34. I do like to measure the behind the edge. Again, as I mentioned, mentioned, this is a pretty thin, slicey blade, and I measured the behind the edge at 16/1000ths, which puts it in a pretty slicey category. And, you know, it depends on how people measure it. I like to measure right to where the grind, that secondary grind ends, and it meets, you know, the unfinished, I'll call, portion of the blade. And some people will just measure just a tad, like a fraction of a millimeter behind the actual cutting edge, which will give you a thinner measurement. So it all just depends on how you measure it. Anyhow, this is a thin, slicey blade. We're going to take a deeper look at that in just a minute. All right, let's take a closer look at the whole build of it. So I like to start on the pocket clip. This is a steel pocket clip. It is a reversible pocket clip. That's nice for you lefties out there that they did kind of a spoon-shaped pocket clip. I do like this clip. It's nice and deep. It's certainly a very full, deep carry. That spoon shape actually doesn't really get you in the hand at all. The bill is nice. Some people like it, some people don't. But I'll tell you, that is able to slide in and out of just about any type of pants or short pockets that you would want. And again, it doesn't really seem to get in the way or create an unnecessary hotspot. So that's a pretty good feature. The hardware on this thing are true to the original. T6 screws throughout the body and the pin, the pocket clip there. T8 on the main pivot screw. And you'll see also it does have the proper markings that the original has. So this is wampum PA on the clip side, and 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥 Knives is engraved here on the front of the pivot. Interesting thing about the pivot is it's actually cut in a D shape, so it would intended to be a captive pivot, that, you know, this side of the scale would also be cut in that D shape. However, it's not. So this is just really a free spinning pivot. A little more difficult if you have to open and close it, but not terribly so. It actually wasn't much trouble at all to take this knife apart. But just something, again, worth mentioning. It does ride on the cheap Chinese open face kind of bearings. However, it's plenty smooth. You know, it's the lock. It's the Shark lock and the friction and the strength of that spring that really gets you more than anything. But otherwise, you know, the blade, it's just not running free because I can't get this lock far enough out of the way. It's not the bearings, it's the lock. So again, worth mentioning. So this Shark lock, let's talk about that for a second. So love the Shark lock. Great, strong lock. I mean, this thing is not going to break free, okay? It's just well-known, well-designed, and even on these cheaper clones, it fits the exact same, does the same purpose, very strong lock, not going to break. I do love the fact that they cut these little divots into the front here. It helps you get that fingertip down in front of that lock because you really want to kind of pull it up and back when you do. When I first got this knife, this was so stiff, y'all, I could hardly pull it. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just out of shape. My finger calluses haven't built up enough. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's me and not the lock. Maybe it's just a super stiff spring. So I took the spring out and I put it into basically a clamp and clamped it down for, you know, 24 hours or so, trying to compress that spring. I've seen online people, some of the forums also mention the exact same thing, so I know this isn't just mine. It's happened to other the clones as well. I've seen this online. Some people will say clip one or two of the end of the springs out, one of the coils off the end of the spring until you get the spring the way you want it. I will tell you, after having clamped it, the spring strength on this is plenty strong. It's really about as strong as I would want it to be. What I discovered was the lock bar itself was just, I don't know, a fraction of a millimeter too thick. So I had the spring completely out, as I mentioned, when I was compressing it overnight. I put the knife back together just to see, can I manage this lock? Will it slide back and forth without a spring? And that was the problem, is that the just the width of that lock bar, I don't know if it's a coating that was on it or just wasn't cut exactly with precision. So what I did was I stuck it on a piece of sandpaper. I literally just pulled that lock bar out, put it on some high grit sandpaper, rubbed it off on both edges a good bit, sanded it down, and now that I have done that, now it's a perfect fit. And I must have nailed it pretty well because there's no real gaps, there's no play, it doesn't rock back and forth too much anyhow. This is pretty normal for Shark locks, but it definitely makes that now manageable. It's still stiff. I mean, you're still going to build up finger calluses to get it open. I mean, it's hard to open even at that. Let's talk about the detent on this because of that Shark lock. It's kind of a weird detent on these. So it's actually soft here and it gets harder and harder and harder until it hits this spot right here. So it's building pressure because it's compressing that spring. The more it compresses the spring, the more the spring pushes back. So it's not like a detent ball, where as soon as you break that ball out of the hole, then it swings free. Doesn't work like that on these. It gets harder and harder and stiffer and stiffer and stiffer till you get right here. So opening it is a bit of a different experience. If you've never experienced a shock lock like this before, it's relatively easy, for me at least, with the Spidey flick, that back finger flick. Much more difficult just for me. Again, I probably would get used to it had I carried it enough to thumb flick it. You really have to get it out and almost do a little wrist twist as well to get that thumb flick to work. It'll work, and I'm sure if I owned and carried this knife and opened it enough times, I would get the hang of it. No problem at all with the back flick on it. And of course, you've got the Shark Lock, which if you get that right, but it does take absolutely right timing, because again, the pressure builds up. You have to really get that up and back. Not hard to close, but to get it open, you've got to get it up, and then you can't leave it back all the way, because then it'll bounce back out again. Anyhow, just takes a little getting used to. For me, no problem at all. I do like this knife. I will certainly carry it. I do carry it. I have carried it a little bit. And if you just simply Spidey flick it with that and then use the lock, as long as your lock bar isn't, sandwiched too tightly between the titanium scales there, and the spring isn't too bad, this thing is going to be great. And it is now. I've gotten it right to where I wanted it. Did the blade whack. That thing was good. They do call this a shark foot style of a blade. The real one comes in 20 CV. That is marked here on the back. Let me see if I can get that in the right light. There you go. Made in Taiwan. This is definitely not, as I mentioned, 20 CV. I think it's probably an 8 CR. That feels about right based on, how I was getting it on the workshop. It does have the 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥 name on it. Otherwise, no billboarding or branding. That is all absolutely true to the original. Even if you put this next to a real one, you'd have a hard time telling those two apart. The action, again, now is pretty smooth. Certainly not going to be drop shut because of the nature of what this Shark Lock is. There's constant tension on that spring the whole way around until it closes, right? So that's what you get with a Shark Lock. So you don't expect it to be drop shut. No blade play. It does lock up solid. The pin right there is pretty strong. No side to side, no up and down. If you do loosen that up, obviously that will happen, but as long as you get your pivot screw tight enough, which it is now. No blade plate, no real pivot lash in or out or up or down. Detent lash, none to really speak of, but again, you're dealing with just that spring, and it's constantly on that spring pressure. So of course you can pull it out because it's made to be pulled out, but you're just working against the spring there. There's no real detent ball, so to speak of. Blade centering came beautiful. Dead nut center. Gotta love that on a nice cheap knife. As far as the sharpening choil, it's true to the original, but there's not a heck of a lot of room in this thing for sharpening. You can see the blade grind does come down probably halfway in that choil, so you could definitely sharpen it maybe once or twice, but that may be an issue. If it is, you may have to widen or deepen that little sharpening choil, but again, this is true to the original, so what are you going to do? Well, let's talk about cutting. So I do prefer the choked up version. We haven't really talked about the ergos. We can talk about that real quick before we cut. I have a size large hand, size large gloves, just too big, just a little too big for a medium, definitely not an extra large. So if you've got extra large hands, that full back position, you could potentially, I have relatively skinny fingers, again, for a large. I love knives that give you this forward choil. However, see what it is. It's not quite a full finger choil, but you can definitely get a finger in there, but there's nothing to prevent you from sliding up on that blade, so you better know what you're doing if you're going to use it. Obviously, for paper, that's not a big deal. For cardboard, not a big deal. They do have this jimping on the back of the blade, which is beautiful. Nice little thumb rest there. The jimping is, I'm going to call it perfect. It's not too deep, but it is just barely deep enough and grippy enough that it actually does hold. It's a great position of jimping, and they carried it far enough on the blade that it really makes a lot of sense, even when you're choked back on the knife in this grip. But you can also then, of course, get that finger choil, choke it up, still have your thumb right here and have really good control over it. So again, as I said, this is a pretty slicey blade. It's not the sharpest, sliciest blade I've ever had, but we're talking about, a $34 knife here in titanium. Again, I think it's an 8CR. I can definitely put a better edge on it and put it on the professional workshop. I think will be great to go with that. Do a little cardboard cutting just to show you. This is a pretty heavy piece of cardboard here, even though it's just a single ply. But this knife is plenty thin enough and slicey enough. It will just run right through all that. Even some tape. There's a little bit of tape residue I see just discovered on that. So there you go. Yeehaw for that. It'll cut cardboard. Let's go back to our paper now. And we can see maybe at the beginning there, oh, that's me on the choil right there. That's the problem. Keep it on the blade. So is it as sharp? No, but it didn't start as sharp either. So you can see it's even dulled a little bit. I mean, that's more kind of a tearing cut than I would say than a real slicey cut. Some of that's me and just holding the paper. You can see it'll still do the job. But again, you're dealing with a soft steel, so you got to know what you're buying. You're buying a $34 knife that's full titanium scales, nice thin EDC size, pocketable size, but you're going to be sharpening that blade a little bit more in exchange. All right, let's bring this thing home. What do I like? I like the thinness. This is a very thin knife. It definitely disappears in the pocket. Shark Lock is a great engineered tool. I love having just collections of unique designs and engineering ways of building blades and locks. I'd like to have a good representative example of all the different styles, but this is one that I actually will carry because I like the size. It fits perfectly in my hands. I like that choil. I like the ability to choke up on it. Again, it's lightweight. It's a full titanium. These scales, I kind of like the industrial plane. They are not contoured in any way, just flat, plain, smooth titanium scales. That's a love it or hate it kind of thing. Some people like it, some people don't. You know, one of my favorite knives is the Spyderco Spidey Chef, and this is very reminiscent of that, just plain, smooth, flat titanium with steel screws, steel pivot. And I love that design. To me, that's just, you know, an aesthetic that I like. So that's just a personal preference thing. But again, I like that, and this suits me just well. Would I recommend it? I don't ever really want to recommend people run out and buy a bunch of knockoffs. I understand this is a bad thing that China has been able to copy these and put them out in the market like that. Don't love that, but, you know, it's out there. It's available. It's legal for me to purchase, and it's $34, y'all. And if you just want a nice, good EDC blade, you like the style of it. I like the kind of the sheep's foot / Warncliffe modified, whatever you want to call it. This shark's foot blade style is very good. It's great for draw cuts like that. So it suits me and the needs that I have for a knife. I'm a simple guy. I'm an office warrior. I need to open packages, cut up boxes. So yeah, EDC. This is my EDC blade. I'm going to carry it and be happy with it. I certainly am not disappointed in any way with my purchase. I do hate that I had to sand down this lock bar and compress that spring to make it, you know, where it becomes now really a workable, fidgetable knife. And even that is still stiff. I mean, you're still going to be pushing a dent in your fingertip. You got to build up some calluses, but that's what you get with the Shark Locks. I like it. I'm not disappointed at all. If you would, please, again, down below here, hit that subscribe and notification bell. Help your buddy Fred out. That would mean the world to me. Throw me a thumbs up if I did okay. Thumbs down if you think I did something wrong, but you got to let me know so I can try to get better. Otherwise, I will see you guys soon on the next video. Y'all have a great day. Take care.